sets. I'm pumped for this. Over to you, Jim and Jake. Let's get into it.
And thank you very much, Luke. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to week number 5, the very last week of regular play before we move into the semi-finals and the finals. But we have to get there because this matchup is going to define our 4th seed and the team that scrapes through.
There's a lot on the line for these two teams. And I'm actually with Yummy in this. I feel like Avant have been building into this week on week on week.
Yep.
This is where they show the previous week's experience and finally come out of their shell just a little bit and show us what they've got.
But I have to say, for Sydney Raw to bring that win back against the Deceptors last week, that's what's going to make this tight. Yummy says it's 3-0. You're backing Melbourne Avant as well. All caster predictions, including me and Courier, we're on Melbourne Avant. But that doesn't mean you discount Sydney Raw. As we jump in, game number 1 here. This is going to be the qualifying match for the semi-finals. And Sydney Raw, Melbourne Avant, they both need wins here. You cannot get that 1 point. You need a full series win.
That's right. Now, if I've learned anything, you don't discount anything at all. It's not a rug store, is it?
No.
You just don't do that.
And really, with discounts anyway, they put it up by 100%, then discount by 50% anyway. So
worked out the strategy, the meta. But this is what these two teams are doing in the first match usually. They're working each other out, working how the strategy is going to be defined and who's going to be the danger man, who's basically looking on form as well during the day. So it's a really touchy-feely affair, game number 1, and you can read a lot into how this matchup is actually going to play out.
Melbourne Avant, they've been together for longer, but the attack continues. Being able to shut out a little bit here is a crucial touch by Sammy. He'll lose it over to Change. About Bullet's performance here today, I definitely agree, but Robo definitely had a great last week. For Sydney Raw, onto the attack, being denied. Bullet commits up for the ball. Robo the last defender, but Sammy managing to irk it to the mid. Up for Change. Now for Robo. It's a good pass, but a little bit wide. Hugs the wall. Bullet hangs back. Zen with the challenge. Wins it over. But it's back over to Bullet. For Sydney Raw, finally launching on the attack. This is a good moment where Justice Robo can set it up for his team. Bullet hanging in the goal square. Change not committing up just yet. He'll use the bounce. He'll ready it down for Bullet. It's gone slightly wrong, and Zen should be able to dribble it forward. A good pass to Blitz, but Robo interrupts and tries to commit forward. The demo will be good, but it goes back onto the defense of Sydney Raw.
One of the things I liked last week when they brought Bullet into the lineup was the fact that it just enabled Justice Robo to go a little bit further forward in the field. With Ghost in the lineup, he was so defensively minded, and that's actually aided in now their attacking play because Justice Robo can feel as though he pushes up the field a little bit more. He's our most experienced player on that lineup, and he offers so much to them in attack, so it's good to see him going further forward up the field.
Versatility, definitely a key word there, Gymnesso. Ball hugs the midfield once again, and for Zen, individual play kind of been backing off that a little bit. Longer passing plays here from Melbourne Avant, but at the moment, Yummy Cheeseman said it'd be a bit of a messy series, and I think we can see from game 1, there's a lot of those challenges, 50-50s, not really working out. Robo missed the ball, and we're back sticking around the midfield.
Now, a messy series in Rocket League terms doesn't mean a lot of dribbling, does it?
No, it doesn't. Unfortunately, you might find that out later, but yeah, sorry, continue.
We're going to need a few bibs here on the desk, but Bullet just looking to push that one through now. Sydney Raw need to be careful here in defence because there's a passing play there from Zen. Doesn't find Sammy though, but they could be caught on the counter here. Sammy deals with that quite well. And this is where the pressure from Sydney Raw may just be a mass, but that passing play out from the back is guiding Sydney Raw at the moment. Again, neither of these two teams have really found some rhythm in match number 1, but that's not to be expected just yet. Going into this last 2 minutes of play.
Oh, Zen, that's dangerous. Sammy's back in time. Slowing the pace down, Sydney Raw had an opportunity, one of the only shots of the game so far. Been pretty solid defense from both of these teams, but now carrying the ball up the field, only 2 minutes left remaining. Robo's committing forward, he's committing hard. Blitz will hang down, but Bullet hits it up. Change coming in as well. Robo's already rotated back, and a couple of demos coming out as well, but this is going to be good for Melbourne Avant. They go up for the ball. Zen is too wide, or too short, I should say. Sammy to recover, has the banger of a shot. And Melbourne Avant get the first one in game 1.
And that's some pressure off their shoulders now too, because that for Avant means that they can play this last minute and 30 at their pace. They don't need to basically let Sydney Raw dictate play anymore. They just have to sit back, play their defensive style, and let them come at them. But that is also a very dangerous mindset. I think they need to go further forward in attack. Zen's been brilliant for them so far in the series. Such an outlet. Look to him again to really open things up at Blitz. For me, it's always that measure of how Avant are doing because he's the most experienced man in the lineup. And he certainly is, if he's performing, can enable Avant quite a bit. So Sydney Raw just dealing with that, pushing it further upfield. But One thing I've noticed too is the fact that Sydney Raw haven't been committing numbers upfield early on in the piece. They've been happy to just let people like Change and in some instances Bullet just go up solo. They haven't really been sending that second or third man up. They're really defensively minded.
Well, at the moment, this is an opportunity for Sydney Raw. And look, for Melbourne Avant, that one goal could be enough with the way things are going. Trying to push back up. Sydney Raw, there's a good position for Robo, commits forward. Passing plays look a lot more accurate from Sydney Raw, but the speed getting built up there by Melbourne Avant. Intercept doesn't come through, but Change might have set up enough. The ball's there, Bullet here as well, plays it patient. But Blitz is not a patient man. He'll continue carrying it around the wing, and Zen is hanging back. Sammy's already gone forward, but the demo, which really needed to happen from Justice Robo, comes through. With 30 seconds remaining, can they make the play? Change is there, Bullet comes in, but off of that corner, they can't get much done, and it might just be a time game here for Sydney Raw, and game one, not the start you want, with one last play in front of that goal square. From the corner, Change goes up, but accuracy going to be a big factor here. It's still in front of net. It's still an opportune moment for Sydney Raw, but Melbourne Avant are going to deny it. And game one goes to the Melbourne side.
That's a good start for Melbourne Avant there. That's what they wanted in this matchup, taking game number one. Now, you can see by both the way that the two teams are playing, they were very, very passive in that, weren't they? They were very defensively minded.
I like his haircut, by the way. I think Sammy's haircut is very nice. He's shaved the mo, he shaved the beard, cleaned himself up a little bit as well. I like it.
Gameplay?
Well, I'm not so sure. At the moment for Melbourne Avant, in all seriousness, it was quite back and forth. There was a lot of missed passes, not to harp on anyone, but for Sydney Raw, there are opportune moments there, and I feel like the accuracy is on their side. But it's more about that speed game, and Melbourne Avant play it pretty well. At the moment for that fourth seed, everything on the line here in game one was just a successful moment for Melbourne Avant off of one single play.
That's right. And there was a few chances there, although they were scattered for Sydney Raw, they did still go forward somewhat. It was, as I said, a very passive affair, and that comes from the occasion. Both teams, they know that this is a pressure cooking match. They need to make finals. They need to get that win.
Yeah.
So they're not wanting to go and make mistakes. I think maybe they need to just release that mindset a little bit, go forward, get some confidence, and build on that.
I love how the highlights you saw there were 15 seconds. And even then we backtracked a little bit. It was only one goal. So it's hard to highlight when there's not a lot of shots on net. There's one opportune moment that Sammy takes, and giving freedom to Melbourne Avant, it's not going to go well. Zen, for some reason, wearing a beanie this week. That's what I'm commenting on at the moment, because it was a slow-paced game.
I didn't get the memo. Apparently it's cold.
Apparently it's cold. It's cold in Sydney. Melbourne, it's always cold down there, so doesn't make a difference. Go into game two, though, folks, and see if Melbourne Avant can continue this pace. For Sydney Raw, opportune moments. They start out strong, a demo in net, but Change can't get to the ball in time, and immediately the counter-attack from Melbourne Avant.
Just looking for those bumps as well in the defense. It really unsettles things a little bit. So maybe a faster gameplay here between these two teams. So expect to see a few more demos as they do try to get some speed on the ball as well. But now...
Good block there by Bullet.
Yeah, that was actually... I've noticed Justice Robo and Bullet going for bumps a lot. And that is really key to their attacking play as well, just unsettling that defense.
Well, a touch needed by Blitz, but we'll still keep the momentum on Melbourne Avant as Zen goes up for the ball. Sticking around the midfield, working out for Melbourne Avant. Another shot comes through Sammy, but the save from Change. And again, Sydney Raw, their defense has been pretty good. But we need to put that opposition into their back line. And Melbourne Avant on the defense, it's what you want to see if you're a Sydney Raw fan right now.
Just set a little bit higher too in that phase of play, Sydney Raw. So they are starting to change their mindset a little bit into that more attacking phase. But just a few bumps here and there. Bit of a jostle in the midfield as they do try and gain possession and push that ball into the right areas. But
good pass again.
Avant just dealing with this pressure at the moment as Sydney Raw just try and build it up. If you can apply pressure over long periods of time, it's only a matter of time before they crack, but they need to be careful of this counter.
Oh, Change has to be careful. Hits the crossbar, so they'll be okay for now, but bouncing once again in front of that goal square. Change and Robo both go for the ball, and this is going to set up Melbourne Avant. Robo recovers, hits it up, and goes to the semi-clear, but unfortunately, it's not big enough. Change will come back around from the corner. Zen almost knocks it in himself, but you can see the challenging nature of Melbourne Avant is coming back into play. Blitz brings it round, and Sydney Raw moving back to that attacking side does not seem to be realistic right now. Bullet looking for the clear once more. will commit up to the ball. Sammy here, a light touch. This is good for change. He goes into it first. It'll hit the backboard. Bullet misses the ball, but Robo's still in. And Robo goes past the ball. Zen just locks it towards net. And that's a punishing one to see there.
And they were punished for that miss as well, weren't they? Zen just punishing them heavily. They were caught in the counter-attack. That change from offense to defense. You can see they didn't transition too well. They left nobody at home. And Zen, he recognises that opportunity almost immediately, straight on that shot. So a good start here for Melbourne Avant once again. And they do dictate a lot of the pace early on.
It's not often I say this or give him credit, but Yummy was exactly right. This is a messy series, and you can see already the attack back on for Melbourne Avant. They'll hit the backboard, and immediately pressure comes back in. 2 minutes 30, and for Zen, hanging around has been a key member. The pass is good to Blitz, and that was clean, but a bit wide from Blitz. Sydney Raw just getting caught out, and Blitz back in once again. Robo narrowly skips it away, but that ball's just been gifted to Zen. Luckily, Robo will help it get out of the way. The bouncer comes in, hits that backboard once more. But Melbourne Avant just can't get out of the attack, nor do they want to right now. Sydney Raw getting shut down. That one's going to be a rebounder. It's drifting in, and Blitz gets himself one on the board.
And attack after attack after attack meant that Sydney Raw couldn't get out and get some boost. And when they did, it was stolen. So Shane just couldn't do anything there. There's no way he was getting back for that ball whatsoever. So Avant just locking them into that defensive third and peppering them with the attack.
Well, pepper's the key word there right now for Justice Robo. Solid play seems to be the go.
They need the Rocket Man. He needs to come back from the future.
Unfortunately, though, what happens when you go to the future, Jim Nesso?
Well, hopefully they score some goals at 88 miles per hour.
Right.
That'd help.
All right, well, that was kind of what I was going for, but I'll stick with it anyway. You got 2 goals for Melbourne Avant. The comfortability just does not end here. Sammy waiting in position, and they just cannot clear them. Zen's here as well. What a shot. What a setup for Melbourne Avant.
Melbourne really have just opened the floodgates somewhat in game number 2. Game number 1 was a very, very cautious affair between the two teams, but you can see now that confidence built in game 1 is really shining through for Melbourne Avant. Players like Zen constantly just in the attack, constantly harassing, and that backward play from Avant is just not being dealt with by Sydney Raw at the moment. So they're having real difficulty with that. They need to go forward and get themselves some goals as well, because they spent the entire game so far in defence.
But you know what? I saw Blitz this morning, and I saw this confident face. I did not see a battered eyelid there. Is that the term, Jim Nesso? Battered eyelid? Like you get fish and chips, and sometimes you get a battered eyelid?
Some beer battered eyelid?
Well,
I don't know.
I saw confidence this morning from Melbourne Avant. I saw the same look that I've seen every other day. And the confidence in the gameplay is also showcasing. Right now, a minute remaining, and Sydney Raw, it's going to be a hard one to come back from. So let me just tell you one thing, that Melbourne Avant right now in the standings are sitting 5th. They're a point behind Sydney Raw, because back in the first week when Sydney Raw went up against Sydney Chiefs, it was a 3-2 where Raw were able to snag a point. For Melbourne Avant, they've come so close, and they're just walking over Sydney Raw right now.
And again, that backward play is just not being dealt with whatsoever. But this is one thing I noticed too from Avant, week on week. You can see that they've eased into the series, they're laughing, they're having a little bit more fun. And ultimately, when the team is having more fun, they're playing a little bit more relaxed. The nerves aren't there anymore.
But it's not just that. This roster, when you compare it against Order, when you compare it against the Chiefs, Melbourne Avant, they don't have that same experience, but they have been together for a longer time than a team like Sydney Raw. And right now, it looks like they could be joining the Deceptors if it keeps going this way. Game 2, it's going to be taken by Melbourne Avant, and from now on, it's just the formalities of shutting down the Raw even further. But Game 3, Jim Nesso, you know what I want to see? I want to see the same thing I saw against the Deceptors, the Raw switching on and turning this series into a truly momentous occasion. Great passes coming out by Melbourne Avant, and this is what they're going to have to deal with when we get to game number 3.
That's right. Last week, they were down and out in match number 1 and 2. They were struggling. They were wondering how they were going to make it through. But somehow, they rallied in match number 3 and managed to take the series as well. So it's in their, I guess, history to be able to do it. They nearly did it to Chiefs in week 1. Don't forget. So these guys have had some experience coming back from deficits, and I think it's going to be called on here. Justice Robo, they need him more than ever. And
we got more highlights this game as well, folks.
This was a little bit more eventful, wasn't it?
So buckle in. But Zen got himself, I'm not sure if it was the trifecta in the end. I think Blitz got one that just made its way in slowly.
Well, Zen was everywhere in that match too. 6 shots, 3 goals. He was even saving goals at the other end as well, so 3 saves too. So, I mean, end to end, he was a real outlet for them. So, look for him to be enabled more in Game 3 as well. And he's a confidence player in that week on week.
The hat trick.
He's able to play his natural game.
Good old Zen. Zen is such a solo player, and I'm not saying that like he's going to take the ball, he's going to hog the ball. I'm saying that Zen mechanically is a very, very good player. So when you put him in a roster, you're saying, can he, let's use the word Plitz was using, can he gel with this roster? And over the past 6 months, I've been asking, yeah, maybe, maybe he can. I think now this is a good chance to show.
That's right. I mean, on Sydney Raw's side of things, I'm going to be looking for more from Change in matches 3 onwards because he was a key player for them.
He was.
In previous weeks, and he didn't get a lot of output in that last game, so look for him to be a real outlet in Game 3.
He was. However, that's Game 2, a 2-0 start for Melbourne Avant. We're going to throw to a quick break, and when we return, game number 3. And Zen started off game 2, popping off and finished it in the same fashion. Hello and welcome back to the Gfinity Elite Series presented by Alienware. Hysterics and Jim Nesso here, and Mr. Nesso, Melbourne Havana on match point.
They are, and there's obviously still a lot of work to be done before they take the series. But, I mean, a lot of that rests on the shoulders of Sydney Raw. They've got comeback potential. They need to show it here. This is the last match of the regular season for them if they don't win. So there's a lot on the line in that regard. So look to players like Justice Robo, as we said. He's the rocket man, but more importantly...
He is, apparently.
He needs to come back from the future, and he needs to set things straight. Obviously, being from the future, he's seen the result already.
Yeah.
Now, is he going to dictate the outcome?
But unfortunately, there's so many different futures. There's so many different outcomes there. You know, you've all watched the series. It's a TV. It's not a TV show. It's a film. I give up already. Game number 3. This isn't a scooter race. This is something a little bit different. And see if Melbourne Avant a 3-0 in the cards. Maybe it is. Zen, a banger of a start there.
And he's already let rip in match number 3. He's made his mark. He had such a dynamic match number 2, and already he's on the score sheet.
What a fast pass by Plitz there as well. You got to give credit where the credit's due. And right now, we're using that word again, gelling together a Melbourne Avant. Game 3 already 10 seconds in. It's not what you want. The demo into Zen might slow things down, but remember, Plitz is coming up off the roof. The pass forward there. Sammy still off the side, but doesn't have enough boost, so a bit of relinquishing pressure there that Sydney Raw can take advantage of. Or can they? That's the question. At the moment, you just can't say that Sydney Raw is the pressure going to stop. They need these big clears. Change doesn't get to the ball, and Zen gets another one. And Sydney Raw at the moment just getting torn apart.
We could see they were caught in transition there as well. They wanted to get out and get some boost, and that's why they couldn't get up to that ball. They had absolutely nothing left in the tank. So Avant did a really good job of maintaining pressure for long enough that when there was a clearance coming, there wasn't enough power on it to get it out past that midfield.
Look at Zen. Zen's so cheeky at the moment. He's feeling pretty smug, but for a good reason. Robo, an opportunity arises, and right now the crowd are waiting for something from Sydney Raw. Being in their home state, they've got a bit of support as the loudest man comes back in. This is just another opening, though, for Melbourne Avant. And Plitz gets the past one, but not the other. Zen's back up in time. A good shot saved away by Robo. So there's some hope there for Sydney Raw, but now they have to get the ball past the line of defence.
They have to do it without Plitz for the moment anyway, but no balls are going onto the backboard. Zen just making sure that any attacking play from Sydney Raw is shut down before it even gets going. And again, they're quickly on the counter attack too. That transition from defence to attack is so quick for Avant, and Plitz has capitalised on an open net.
The defence just struggling there. Jim Nesso, 3-0. Melbourne Avant, they want to secure that 4th place, move towards the semi-finals. And they've done exactly what they need to do. And now they have to maintain this lead. For Sydney Raw, it is an uphill battle. One that we have known about, but now it's showcasing here in what looks to be the final game.
3 minutes and 25 seconds remaining. Still a lot of chances left.
Is that it? Finally! We get one!
And maybe, just maybe, we're going to see a few more goals piled on. Hopefully that one, I guess, was a little bit against the run of play, because that one just sailed through. There was a miss in there as well.
But that's good. Melbourne Avant, they're getting confident. They're pushing up. And if they cannot rotate back in time, massive clears, long passing plays, Sydney Raw need to get creative. And that one goal, let's see if that's enough to get the momentum started in this game 3.
This is their first goal of the series as well, too. So
yeah,
it is. I mean, if you wait until match number 3 to score your first goal in a series, you put yourself under a lot of pressure.
Oh, it's not about what. I mean, they don't really have a choice here, to be quite honest, Jim Nesso. They've been struggling.
They waited with bated breath until the 3rd match, and then they had sold the ruse.
And now they're looking for the reverse sweep once again. Robo for the ball. A good pass up, but it's a little bit long for Bullet. This will give time to Melbourne Avant off the wall. It's a good time for Justice Robo. Ooh. It goes high. It goes wide. And Sydney Raw lose an opportunity.
That was a great opportunity as well, just to bring things back a little bit. And now they have to transition back into defence. But, I mean, chances, they go begging all the time. Could that one be the difference here in this match? Could that be the moment that the tide turned against Melbourne Avant? I guess we will never know, but there are still plenty of opportunities remaining here. That was great from Sydney Raw. The passing play was good. The build-up was great, but it just was that final moment that they needed to do better and change has a chance here.
Finally the crossbar, Robo's back in, it's a drop, Blitz the only defender, everyone rotating around, Bullets here as well, the drop into the goal square. But this is still good. This means something for Sydney Raw. They haven't gotten this close to the net, and now you can see the backboard is pressured once more. 2 minutes remaining, but with plays like that, Sydney Raw might be able to break through.
It's a great passage of play for Sydney Raw. They need more of that. And they can still get plenty more opportunities if they keep that passing game up. You can see there that they were just looking for that final third pass into the middle. And
Sammy,
unfortunately, no one could get there.
Dangerous passing here from Melbourne Avant. They cannot underestimate Sydney Raw. Bullet will come back in and change. Going to make the rotation. Blitz in the centre field, directly in front of net. Robo drops it down, but in comes then again. Change the last defender, but Blitz has the shot. Bullet up for it. A great direction to send it away. Melbourne Avant, the passing continues. Some good blocks there from Justice Robo. But now the offensive game has to begin again. Otherwise, it's all over Red Rover as Melbourne Avant take the 3-gap lead again.
And again, just passing off that backboard so well. They knew that if they just kept that pressure up, Zen there, great opportunity for himself, but he went to go with
what a pass that was from Zen.
And he had either Sammy or Plitz as an option to come in on that pass. So.
See, clean. He's looking good. Sammy's feeling good as well. Melbourne Avant, they are showcasing here in this series. And now can Robo get one? It's wide again. Sydney Raw have had many opportunities. They've come so close. But time is running out. There's a minute left. Bullet goes for the solid play, but Zen reads it well. Sammy passed at centre, and that is clinical there from Melbourne Avant.
And that fourth goal from Avant actually led on to the fifth because it really killed off any momentum and confidence that Sydney Raw was starting to build. There was a great passage of play from Sydney Raw in the build-up to goal number 1, potentially even a goal number 2. And at 3-2, it's a completely different game than what you see now. So they're just taking their chances. They were pushing numbers forward, and they're already down by a certain amount of goals. So they were just pushing numbers forward as fast as they could to try and get that goal back. But time is really against them now. I don't think this is...
Well, look, Gymnast, I'm going to be real with you here for a second. The way Melbourne Avant have been playing, I think they've just shut the door on Sydney Raw. And immediately, I think Zen wants to take this ball back down to the floor. Robo gets one. This is good, but is it good enough? A goal every 10 seconds is now what we're asking for Sydney Raw to equalise with Melbourne Avant. Remember the kickoff goals against Deceptors.
Yeah, it's doable. It's definitely doable. It's not out of the realms of possibility. And it lies there on Rocketman himself.
But you know what? Right now the photo's fading and Blitz, just trying to shut that door once more. But Sammy comes back in. I think that's still it. As good of a try as it was from Sydney Raw. Game 3 it will come to a crashing halt. As for Melbourne Avant securing the 4th seed, there's a big win for them. It means they move up into the semi-finals. They're back again next week. And Melbourne Avant, they played pretty clinically here, looking to take on some of the top dogs, some of the teams that are already comfortable to make it here in the Elite Series. But Melbourne Avant at 3-0, they move on to the semi-finals.
And you can see there across the team, there's a look of relief as well. They came and did the job that they wanted to, and that was get through with the win. Both these two teams needed that win. Unfortunately for Sydney Raw, it didn't fall their way in the end. And there were a lot of positives to take from the game, but unfortunately that is it for the regular season from them. They have nothing to build on for next week because it's Avant now that will go on in the bracket and they will secure their spot in that semi-final position.
But you can look at that. You can look at that, and just like Brisbane Deceptors, you can look at where your play stands. And for this season, you say, all right, this is where we finished. Let's come back next time and let's look at how we can improve. Sydney Raw are a team that came together for this competition. They came together for the Elite Series. And they put on a pretty good show. And
week on week, they improved in their performance as well. There were some real glimpses of potential. And they just needed to string Rocket League together consistently that was of a standard that would put them, even amongst some of the Chiefs roster as well. So
yeah, but
that being said, it is a big ask for a lot of these teams to make that jump up.
It is.
They did themselves a credit there. There's a few weeks where they really made good games of an entire series. If they just put more passes together, perhaps taken more opportunities like we saw in that match, things would have gone their way. And that's how cruel Rocket League can be, but it also makes it a beautiful game.
The word cruel is very good here, because Melbourne Avant, you're just watching them nail goal after goal into the back of that net. And although Robo got away with one at the end, Melbourne Avant just did not drop the ball at any point. Well, did rarely drop the ball at any point in that game. I'm pretty impressed with their performance. I think Melbourne Avant, looking towards the semi-finals, are now going to have to once again shore up that play and show that growth coming into their most important moment.
That's right. They've had the luxury, I guess, of building into the series.
Yeah.
But the luxury goes away as soon as you go into the semi-finals because everybody is there for one purpose only, and that is to win. You can't take growth and development. Yes, it's a learning experience for them, but they're going to need everything next week in those semi-finals.
Good, I just said.
Zen, he had a good game.
Such a groovy guy.
And I'll tell you what, though, as we went through each of the matches, the highlight reels started to really build out there in that last match. We had a lot of highlights from that man Zen, so let's just see what the semi-finals bring for them.
Zen, great individual performance. I think there's something to be highlighted there is that the Zen in the past couple of weeks have been going, yeah, you know, maybe. Sammy, I think, got MVP in one of the series they won. And we've been talking a lot about Plitz, but it's come back to Zen where this individual player who has great mechanics, yeah, he knows we're talking about him as well. So he's like, I'm just going to look cool. You know, it's all right. I know they're talking about my skill, my individual mechanics. But no, they should be commended because he's turned into a really good team player and he's turned into a passing player as well. Famous guy. However, we are going to throw back to Luke for that 3-0 from Melbourne.
Will take over. Well, Sydney Raw, it was just too little, too late just then. Melbourne Avant proving too good, and sitting at the desk right now, we have the winning captain. Huge round of applause for Plitz, guys. Come on, give it up. Man, are you feeling the pressure's off? You feeling chill now? You feeling good?
Yeah, we're feeling pretty good. I mean, coming into game 2, the pressure was already off of us. We were feeling comfortable, so yeah.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, Yummy, thoughts?
Yeah, going into the playoffs, I think that is the best possible result. You weren't as confident as you could have been. You said 3-1. What's with that?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't want to be too toxic. You know? I had to give them some sort of glimmer.
Oh, come on. We're in OCE. We need to go full banter,
That's
full
true.
toxic.
That's true, yeah, I should.
Just go harsh. Yeah.
And, I mean, are you happy with how you guys played today? Looking forward, is there anything you'd change? I mean, you won. We don't have to get into that just yet. We can enjoy the win. But was there anything out there you'd like to work on?
Well, game 1 was a little bit shaky. It was pretty close. Like, we had a lot of missed opportunities. We could have done a lot better. But I think coming into game 2 and 3, you know, we had a lot of pressure. And I think we played pretty well.
Yeah, there was some huge plays there. Let's get into analysis right now. Let's have a look at the goals and how they played out.
Well, speaking of game 1 as well, this is where you didn't seem quite as confident.
Yep.
It was much more of a clear battle. And this kind of happens when the nerves come into effect.
Yeah,
a lot of clearing down the pitch. And that favoured Sydney Raw, I think. They were getting some good passes. But as you grew confidence, you were just outpacing them, right?
Yeah, that's right, yeah. So they sort of piled on the pressure at the start in game 1 because, I don't know, we just weren't clean. It was a lot harder to play against them with no boost and just not rotating properly. So I think we fixed it up in game 2 and 3. But yeah, apart from that, we were pretty happy.
And I was really happy with how Sammy played across this series. You see, in game 1, he was the goal scorer. In game 2, he was setting up these plays for Zen. And then by the end of game 2, that's where Zen really came into his form. Do you think he's finding his confidence here?
Yeah, I really want to highlight how Zen played this series. He was absolutely phenomenal. I mean, coming into the past weeks with the shaky nerves, like first time on land, of course. I mean, I think he just played extremely well. His shots were on there, were just on point.
Yeah, and game 3, this is where the shots came in. Look at these bangs coming in. I think he scored 2, but they were just top bar and down. They were top of the net every single time. Really hard to say for even some of the best teams. So if he continues doing that in the playoffs and we have Plitz, you know, show up on the pitch at all, maybe, we'll potentially see a good show.
I mean, at least like an aerial Yummy. I mean, I can actually get up and hit the ball in the air, so... Yeah,
hey, listen, I got a good aerial the other day after about 10 hours of play.
I'm proud of you, I mean, yeah, I definitely needed to pick it up that series. I did miss a few balls, so I could have played better, but you know, I'm proud of the team.
No, and you definitely picked it up by the end as well, and that's sort of why that last game was just completely fired off.
Yep.
But that's a great sign. I think I really want to focus on Zen in this match and how well he's really stepped up from the previous weeks.
Yeah,
and I know he's been, I guess, the individual on your team, not to disparage you or Sammy, who's really put in the most work, who's really the most hungry to get to the top.
Yeah, Zen's extremely driven to be at the top. I mean, the amount of hours he puts into this game, to like just working on his mechanics and anything else, like he's just so driven. And it's good to see him finally show up today and, you know, get rid of the nerves and play well.
And it's good to see him not freestyling and jumping off the roof, right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's what he does best. But you know, it's not too great in threes. So.
You were pushing a little bit further back helping your teammates more? You think that's helping out your rotations a lot?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I've been trying to adapt a little bit more of a sort of a reserved play style.
So not ball chasing?
Not ball chasing, yeah. I'm good at that sometimes when I can hit the ball. But yeah, I mean, I think it's working out a little bit better for us to be a bit more well-rounded and yeah, keeping pressure. So.
That's great. So I have one last question. If you're going up in the playoffs and you're sort of expected to go up against Chiefs, how do you think that matchup will go after your previous performance against them?
Honestly, we got scored a lot. We got scored on a lot during that series against the Chiefs, and I put it down to just mechanical mistakes, really. I think going over the replays, there were obvious mistakes. I think we played okay, but you know, obviously it was just the mechanical mistakes. And now that we've got a bit more experience against the Chiefs, I think we'll do a little bit better. But it's still going to be a ridiculously tough match.
Look, as long as you don't own goal 3 times, you'll be fine.
Yeah, I mean, I've got a habit of doing that. You know, got a good record for own goaling at Land.
Only in important finals matches.
Yeah,
Well, now's not the time to beat yourself up too, dude. You just won. You just won.
That's right.
Don't heap on him too much, Yummy. Congratulations, man. Huge win for you guys, and
Thank
you're
you.
through to the finals. Congratulations. Right now, for every winning team, there is a losing team. Over to you, Ash. Justice Robo must be feeling it right now, hey?
Well, Justice Robo was a bit of an unfortunate loss. Do you think you guys felt the pressure at all today?
Yeah, definitely felt a lot of pressure. Missed a lot of balls that we wouldn't usually. But yeah, that's how it goes.
So unfortunately, you missed out on making the finals. But what did you enjoy most about the Gfinity Elite Series?
Oh, it's just a really good experience, like being up there on the stage, seeing the crowd, hearing the crowd, especially being like a Sydney team. Like the crowd was all for us, so that was great.
Do you reckon you'll come back? What's the plan for you guys? You're going to keep playing together? Will you come back for season 2? What's the goss?
Definitely try to. There's always that factor that we can come back. So yeah, we'll be playing the tournaments, weekly tournaments, and trying to get back here. Yeah.
And what about you? Do you have a pick? Do you have a pick for which team you think is the one to look out for that you think may win?
Definitely think Chiefs will win, like hands down. Like they're just the best team here. So yeah.
All right, we'll see if your prediction's correct. Thank you so much for chatting to me, and hopefully I'll see you very soon.
Thank you too.
Back to you, Luke.
Good on you, Justice Robo, and good work, Sydney Raw. Moving forward to season 2, what should Sydney Raw be working on, do you think? Yummy.
They had a rough season, I guess, but it's sad to see them go because they are the team that really wanted to make it.
Yeah.
They really wanted this experience, and they worked hard to get there. So it's a big congratulations out to Sydney Raw. It's sad to go, and I think for them, they just need to improve that speed, get those mechanics up. And I see them a lot playing threes ranked, working on their teamwork. It's time for them to get into those matches by themselves, get into some big twos matches, and just work on their speed. Because once they're there, they've got the one side, they just don't have that other mechanical play.
Okay, well, right now, let's talk about the match, and let's find out who is your Astro MVP for this match. So who is it, Yummy, for the match? I have a feeling who it is from what you were talking about before, but who is it?
After a nervous few weeks, he's come back from New Zealand and he's finally stepped up. It's Zen with a big performance today. Credit to his entire team who are getting a lot of setups, Sammy especially. It was a lot of the Sammy and Zen combo in this one, but Zen was finding those shots, and that's one of the most important things that he can do for his team here. It's the difference maker between sort of those teams in the middle and those at the top. And Zen, he's the one who could make them win next week.
Well, congratulations, Zen. You are the Astro MVP for match 1.